This clip stopped me. Not because of an argument, but because of who was speaking and what they were asking to be trusted with. Let's check this out.
Can I ask you this? Can I ask you that? I said, yeah, sure, go ahead.
He wants to represent the people of Spark Hill, a community angry at the war in Gaza and how politicians here have dealt with it.
But I have had some young people calling me.
Shahid Butt says he has regrets, but insists he's no terrorist. In 1999, he went on trial, seen here as part of a group of 10 who were convicted of plotting to bomb Western targets in Yemen, including the British consulate.
To many, that won't sound like the behaviour of somebody who's deserving of public office.
So let's put things into context. This is something that happened 30 odd years ago. Yeah?
Doesn't mean it didn't happen.
No, like I said, if you hear me out, this happened 30 years ago. It was a fabricated charge. I was falsely convicted. I was tortured into signing a confession. At the time, the world's media saw, when I went into court, I told the judge that I'd been tortured and that I reject all of these accusations.
The court rejected the claim he was tortured into admitting guilt. He went on to serve a 5-year sentence, while his family spoke out to the media back home, calling for his release.
What did you do that made you in a position to be in court, accused of plotting a bombing campaign, and then sentenced to 5 years?
I was in Yemen not to do any acts of terrorism. At that time, Yemen was a hotbed of Al-Qaeda terrorism. Britain, America was accusing Yemen of supporting and promoting terrorism. When we turned up there, British citizens, then it's like, well, actually, Britain is exporting terrorism to our country. So I became a political footballer. Because he's a brown British.
In the early 90s, he was also jailed in Birmingham after street fighting with the far right. He says he was defending his community. More recently, he's been accused of encouraging violence in the protests around the banning of Maccabi Tel Aviv fans at Aston Villa's match in November.
Remember, Muslims are not pacifists. If somebody comes into your face, you knock his teeth out.
How is that acceptable of somebody who wants to be in public office? Saying that it's okay to scrap and fight in the street and knock somebody's teeth out?
Because the law permits it. The law gives you what's called a preemptive strike. If somebody comes into your face, if somebody comes into your space and you feel that
Why not say then, calm down, take a step away and remove yourself from the situation? Why do you say it's fair enough to make the first strike and knock somebody's teeth out?
Because I feel that my life is in danger.
If you were elected and serving as a councillor on Birmingham City Council, do you see a situation where you might end up in a street fight, where you might end up knocking somebody's teeth out?
Potentially, if they attack me, I'll defend myself.
But if they just came up arguing with you,
then I'd argue back.
And you'd potentially punch their teeth out?
If I thought my life was threatened.
This isn't about disagreement, and it's not about edgy language. Some people hear free speech, others hear a threat from someone seeking power. That difference matters.
At the general election, Birmingham Yardley MP Jess Phillips said she faced intimidation and harassment from members of the Independent Alliance Shahid Butt has now joined.
This election has been... Can you throw them out? This election has been the worst election I have ever stood in.
The idea that people who have been convicted of terror offences, underplaying that as having, had a colourful past and standing to represent parts of my family in that area, I find that absolutely appalling.
Do you think you meet the standards that are expected in public office? Knowing everything you've done deep down, do you really think that?
I think I'm above the standards. I've done more than, I will bring more than what the standards bring. The person of 30 years ago was a young, angry, at times confused, naive young man. Do I regret it? Of course I regret it.
With his candidacy drawing criticism, ultimately the decision of whether he's fit for office is one for the people of Spark Hill.
Wow. Okay. Every democracy has to decide where the line is. Not between opinions, but between speech and responsibility. And right now, that line feels very unclear.